At 9, Dan Wootton Tonight, followed by headliners. On TV, radio and online. This is GB News.
Monday to Thursday, 9 p.m. till 11 p.m. Join me, Dan Wootton. I'll bring you the sharpest takes and hottest debates. Do you not believe in prison?
I don't believe in prisons.
I'm completely stunned. I guarantee you there'll be no spin, no bias, no censorship.
I actually was personally quite offended by it.
And no reason to go to bed.
So I guess they've always been quite woke.
That's Dan Wootton Tonight on TV, radio and online. Monday to Thursday from 9 p.m. till 11 p.m. on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Join me, Lawrence Fox, on GB News. Frank, fun, fearless and sometimes serious. Much as I love a Friday night punch-up, what I really want is a battle of ideas. I want to look at things differently. I want to hear different voices and engage with your unique experiences. Every Friday at 7 p.m. on GB News.
Hello, I'm Esther McVeigh.
And I'm Philip Davis.
Whether you're watching or listening on TV, online or on radio, we handpick the latest stories, debates and expert opinions for your weekend. So whether that's politics, news or showbiz, we've got it covered.
Join us every Saturday morning at 10 o'clock on GB News.
Join me every Sunday at 6 p.m. for Gloria Meets. In exclusive interviews, I'll be finding out who our politicians really are and what they really think.
It's something that you would never want anyone to suffer.
I didn't know what channels there were. I didn't think I'd be believed.
I must have weighed about 7 stone and I'm 5'8".
My instincts was to sort of cover this up. I mean, clearly that was a mistake.
Join me every Sunday at 6 p.m. on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Hello there, it's Eamon Holmes here from Breakfast on GB News. We're not just on your television and your screens, you know.
We're on DAB plus digital radio, so you can listen to your favourite shows on the move.
If you've not yet listened to GB News Radio, it's very simple. We're on your radio player and TuneIn apps, on your smart speaker, phone or tablet, or online at gbnews.uk.
Take us with you wherever you go. GB News Radio.
You never have to miss a moment of the People's Channel.
Good evening, I'm Tatiana Sanchez in the GB newsroom. The Prince of Wales says he's gutted for England, who've been knocked out of the World Cup, losing 2-1 to France. England went into the second half of the game a goal down, but equalised through a Harry Kane penalty. It wasn't enough, as a 78th minute goal from Olivier Giroud sealed the win, much to the devastation of these England fans. France faced Morocco in the semi-finals. They beat Portugal 1-0 earlier today. Despite the loss, former England manager Sam Allardyce told GB News the team and Gareth Southgate have a lot to be proud of.
They have matched the world champions. There's no doubt about that. In fact, bettered the world champions in the second half. So there's a lot to be positive about, even though we don't feel like it at the moment. And certainly the England team and the backroom staff will be very dejected on the back of they've matched and in the second half bettered France, who are the world champions at the moment.
And the Prime Minister stuck to his word, wishing Emmanuel Macron and France well in the semi-finals of the World Cup. Rishi Sunak tweeted, "Harry and the team gave it everything, but it wasn't to be. They can hold their heads high tonight. Best of luck to France in the next round." Officials say searches will continue through the night following the deaths of at least 3 people following an explosion on the island of Jersey. The blast happened in a tower block of flats in the early hours of the morning in St Helier. It's feared the number of casualties could still climb, with around a dozen people thought to be missing. Chief Fire Officer Paul Brown says the search and rescue operation could take days.
It is a total collapse. And so the primary challenge is that, one, it is dangerous to operate in and around the area, but secondly, anything that we do or don't do in the wrong way might then jeopardise the chances of survival for somebody who might yet be able to be, sort of rescued. So we have to do everything in a slow, methodical way, and we have to make sure that all of the right equipment with the right expertise is in place in order to do that.
Yellow warnings are in place across the UK this weekend, with temperatures expected to drop to as low as -10 degrees in Scotland and the southeast and southwest of England. Freezing temperatures are already causing travel problems. Manchester Airport briefly closed earlier today after heavy snow fell on its runways. Only one of its runways reopened. RMT General Secretary Mick Lynch has called for an urgent meeting with the Prime Minister. It's to try to resolve the long-running dispute over pay and conditions for rail workers. Union members are due to stage 2 48-hour strikes next week, following months of industrial action over the deadlocked row. TV, online and DAB+ radio. This is GB News. Now it's over to headliners.
Hello and welcome to Headliners. I'm Josh Howie, and to take you through Sunday's top stories, I am joined by two wonderful comedians.
Just comedians.
Women. We got women.
Really?
Okay.
Lead with comedian, Josh. Come on.
Comedians. Diane Spencer, there she is, and first timer, very excited, Cresta Wetton. Welcome, Cresta. Woo! But first, let's charge through the front pages. We're going to do it. We're doing it. Sunday Telegraph. Labour vows war on health unions. The Observer will suspend strikes if you talk about pay. Health unions. Sunday Mirror. Lion hearts broken. Kane misses penalty as France triumph. The Sunday Times. It's all over for England. Again. The Sunday Express. Christmas strikes cost $4 billion. The Sun on Sunday. Harry's pain. Brave 3 Lions out of the World Cup. Hero skipper missed pen hell. And finally, the Daily Star on Sunday, merde. Now do we have to go Christmas shopping? And those were your front pages. So, Diane, let's start with the big story. I mean, I'm wearing my funeral outfit.
Yes, as am I.
Yes, so the Star.
Yes, so again, we are now out of the World Cup. And do you know what? If there was going to be one person who could console Harry Kane, it is Gareth Southgate, because obviously I remember Euro 96. I remember that moment where Gareth Southgate stepped up and he didn't get the goal in.
I'm a little bit too young to remember that, but yes. I read about it in a history book.
You whippersnappers. I mean, all the photos were black and white. It was so exciting. We were part of this thing called Europe. So, yeah, it's happened. And it's always... The weird thing about it is, you know, you're like, you got one job, buddy. Kick the ball in the net. And he missed the net. And you think, that was your job. I mean, that is going to sound a little bit harsh, but this is why footballers get paid a lot of money, because they're going to need it for all the therapy.
The pressure. I mean, Cresta, we haven't got a good history in this country dealing with people who miss penalties. I mean, do you think that's going through his mind at the moment?
It may well be. I'll be completely honest with you. This is news to me that there was a football match tonight.
Wow.
There was a lot of beeping on the way here tonight, and I thought, is that for me, as I walked through the streets? Not a lot of...
crestfallen now?
Am I crestfallen? Absolutely. I'm catching up, and yeah, it's all over for England.
So this is what they've gone with. Interestingly, because we work in the media, we saw the earlier front page, and this was their first was French fried. So that was going to be the headline, which I really like that.
I kind of prefer it.
And then they went with the merde thing. So I disagree with you. Whoever's working at the Star, I would have stayed with the French fried. I think that was a good call. It is sad. People. I don't know. It was a great distraction, and of course the World Cup's still going on. But I feel like everything, the hardships, the weather turning, all of that. There's a lot of negativity out there, and I felt like people were really there was a gathering of momentum.
Yes, definitely. There always is around World Cup football. It's always exciting to watch. It's thrilling to get involved in the game. And suddenly people who have never taken an interest in football before, they suddenly flock into the pubs and everybody wants to kind of be part of it, which is really lovely. But my interesting thought about this was, had they made it through to the final, had we won, which would have been wondrous, you know, they could have followed in the footsteps of the women. Had they won, would they have brought up all of Qatar's human rights things, their treatment of LGBT people, you know, because we kind of went into this tournament with the armbands, and then they didn't wear the armbands because they were going to get the yellow card. But at the end of the day, we all came behind them and we supported them. So it's a very kind of...
So what you're sort of saying is that they deliberately lost to bring light the crimes that have gone on in Qatar.
I mean, I'm not saying that.
Okay, I mean, that's very controversial. I look forward to seeing your Twitter feed after.
Could go with.
Let's turn to the Sunday Times now, Cressida.
OK, the Sunday Times. It's all over for England again. They're starting with that. Brexit bill on ice amid hopes of New Year deal with EU. Desperate parents search for strep A medicine as prices soar.
Well, this is an incredible story, isn't it?
It really is, yeah. The price has absolutely gone through the roof. So you would have expected to be able to get hold of antibiotics for about £3 to £4. And within a week, these have surged to £15.37.
Wow.
Or £10.67 for penicillin. So it's been a really...
And pharmacies, I believe, are actually making a loss at the moment because they're having to import this stuff and they're having to pay so much more.
Yeah, and there is a man who runs a pharmacy, and he says he's lost £3,000 in a week because the amount that he gets back from the NHS. So he's effectively working at a loss because there's this mad kind of dash for it, and the wholesalers have apparently bumped up the price.
Well, how are the wholesalers getting away with it? That's what I want to know.
Well, they're saying that it might be to do with the manufacturing costs, but obviously parents are having to travel. It's just awful for people, isn't it? You know, they're worried about their sick kids.
And it's weird how the manufacturing costs go up when there is...
profit to be made.
When there's suddenly this increase of strep A and it's affecting children in schools. And it's I'm not sure how the manufacturing costs went up at exactly the right point. It's a bit weird.
I wonder if there are any Tory lords involved in this particular... We'll get to that a bit later. In the end, something you sort of went through here, this is interesting. The Brexit bill is on ice amid hopes. Obviously, it's always toxic to bring up Brexit. But this is an interesting thing. I mean, do you think there is hope that there's a possible deal in the offing about this?
It would be nice because obviously Rishi Sunak has to sort of try and unite the party because he is trying to sort of make the hardliners happy and he's trying to keep basically glue the Brexiteers and the Remainers together within the
Good luck with that, Rishi.
Yeah.
Easy peasy.
He's got more chance of winning the World Cup. So, I mean, there could be hope. I mean, I find that the way that the EU are kind of handling this is really badly. They are very guilty as well of trying to make our lives difficult.
You've changed in the last year at GB News.
I really haven't. I always thought that they put too much, like... Do you know how, like, they never had a thing for sausage? You have to fill in a book this thick if you want to tell them what a sausage is. It's ridiculous.
This is what the whole thing for you
it's
has
all
been
sausages. I love sausages.
I heard that. If you go on your Twitter feed, it's just sausage.
It's just, this is what I made this morning.
That's what they say about Diane Spencer.
Sausage and fudge. Anyway, all right, well, look, let's go to the Sunday Telegraph now, Diane. We've got a bit of a photo there at the top, sort of holding each other. If we can just see the photo quickly of the Telegraph, because it's quite romantic and sort of, are they going to kiss or not? Is that what you do to console somebody? Yeah, that would be the ultimate way. No, but seriously, if they actually kissed each other right then, that would be the ultimate protest at Qatar.
It certainly would. Yeah, if they had a big old snog.
Yeah, Will they do the lift?
Oh, I'd love the lift. Like the full-on Patrick
the dirty dancing lift.
So anyway, so what do we got here? We've got some news going on.
This is an interesting one. Cut £7 billion spending on woke projects. MPs tell Chancellor. Now, let's just be careful about misusing the word woke here, because what they're talking about is diversification, managers and strategies and things like that. But these things can actually be quite divisive. Like, for example, they give some examples of courses where you, quote, unlearn whiteness, end quote. Now...
I'm never going to unlearn that.
I'm not going to unlearn it.
Me.
I have no idea how to unlearn
that. That is stuck in there.
I would not know where to start.
Is it like a forward roll or a backwards roll? I don't know.
Something to do with eating less quiche. I don't know.
What do you think of this stuff, Cressida? Do you think that there's a lot of money being spent on all this stuff?
Well, that's the thing, isn't it? It's against the backdrop of a cost of living crisis. I don't know how important these projects are. I don't feel like it's a good use of public money.
So and have they got any other stuff? But I mean, Saying that, there's probably a few projects in there that maybe have some value. I don't know. But at the same time, when people cannot heat their homes, when people cannot get food for their families.
7 billion?
Yeah, that's it.
There's got to be, and apparently it's...
That's like one day in a Liz Truss premiership.
7 billion is way too much to be spending on these kind of things too, especially because it's all about how you think. Like, you don't be racist, don't be anti-Semitic, don't be sexist.
You know what?
Stop.
You've just saved literally 7 billion pounds.
£7 billion.
Women and men are great and the same and equal. Not the same, but they're equal. I don't think we're the same, no offence, but we can have that argument later. But yeah, don't be anti-Semitic, don't be racist, be nice to people. 7 billion saved, right?
Very good. Done it.
Brilliant.
Good, yeah.
OK, fine. And let's finish this section on The Observer, Cressida.
OK.
Well, they've obviously gone to press a little bit late because they don't have a photo of the England match.
No,
they've gone with
they don't.
Portugal. I think Portugal there.
No, that's Morocco defeating Portugal, I believe.
Portugal, Morocco. Yeah. I mean, I don't care about them. They're not. This is GB News. It's not Portugal news. Anyway, come on then. Go, Cressida. What's
OK,
going on?
The Observer leads with, we'll suspend strikes if you talk about pay, health unions. So the Royal College of Nursing and Unison call on Health Secretary to negotiate with them to avoid action at Christmas and New Year. So the Observer's been told that rather than insisting on rises that match inflation or for nurses exceed it by 5%, the unions would seriously consider deals similar to those that have already led to strikes being suspended in Scotland. And in Scotland, the walkouts across the NHS have been lifted after the health service workers were offered between 5% and 11% by the government.
So this is good news, right?
I would prefer if we didn't have strikes in the medical world over Christmas.
Well, it's interesting because I think we will touch on this in a later story. Pat Cullen, who is the General Secretary of the Royal College of Nursing, said that she feels that she's not being spoken to properly by the Health Minister, Stephen Barclay, because... is his name Stephen Barclay?
Yeah.
No, it's something Barclay. Steve Barclay. And it's because she feels that he's not treating her appropriately because she's a woman and 90% of the people that she's lobbying for are women.
And you're saying this is a bad thing? Just checking.
Totally a bad thing,
OK,
Josh.
OK, good.
It's all right.
I need some of those
We're all
diversity.
learning.
Spend that 7 billion over here.
God.
So, yeah, but, I mean, I guess that now it's back in the government's court. If they, they've been... It seems like the government has very consciously had this thing of, like, let's not negotiate, let's not meet with anybody because we don't have the money and we don't want to put inflation up. And we are going to talk about this, but they have firmly put the ball back in their court. Really, they need to meet now and sort this out soon, hopefully.
Yeah.
Anyway, time now for a quick break. Join us in a couple of minutes when we'll be discussing a royal racism row. Which one, you ask? PPE millionaires and Twitter's secrets are revealed. See you in 2.
We are GB News, and we'd like to say thank you to each and every one of you for bringing us your conversations, for helping our great nation find its voice. We are here for you on radio, television, and online, across England, Scotland, Wales, and Northern Ireland.
It's not the BBC, you actually get your facts right.
We are proud to be GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Monday to Thursday, 9 p.m. till 11 p.m. Join me, Dan Wootton. I'll bring you the sharpest takes and hottest debates. Do you not believe in prison?
I don't believe in prison.
I'm completely stunned. I guarantee you there'll be no spin, no bias, no censorship.
I actually was personally quite offended by it.
And no reason to go to bed.
So I guess they've always been quite woke.
That's Dan Wootton tonight on TV, radio and online. Monday to Thursday from 9 p.m. till 11 p.m. on GB News. The People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Hello there, it's Eamon Holmes here from Breakfast on GB News. We're not just on your television and your screens,
We're on DAB plus digital radio, so you can listen to your favourite shows on the move.
If you've not yet listened to GB News Radio, it's very simple. We're on your radio player and TuneIn apps, on your smart speaker, phone or tablet, or online at gbnews.uk.
Take us with you wherever you go. GB News Radio.
You never have to miss a moment of the People's Channel.
Join me every Sunday at 6 p.m. for Gloria Meets. In exclusive interviews, I'll be finding out who our politicians really are and what they really think.
It's something that you would never want anyone to suffer.
I didn't know what channels there were. B, I didn't think I'd be believed.
I must have weighed about 7 stone and I'm 5'8".
My instincts was to sort of cover this up. I mean, clearly that was a mistake.
Join me every Sunday at 6 p.m. on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Sure. Yeah. Welcome back to Headliners with me, Josh Howie, and my excellent guest, Headliners legend Diane Spencer and GB News first-timer Cressida Wetton. Enjoy that positive feedback on Twitter, Cressida. We're going to jump back into it with The Observer, and 'tis the season to draft unqualified people to do other people's jobs. What's going on, Cressida?
That's exactly right. Revealed the NHS are planning to draft thousands of volunteers as it faces winter crisis. Volunteers, fantastic. Health officials are drawing up plans to draft in thousands of extra volunteers to help the NHS cope with ambulance delays and hospital pressure this winter. And, of course, they're expecting it to be very high because nobody's turning on their heating. So this is not the time when we need problems in the NHS. But what I find really astonishing is that they're drafting in volunteers, which is extraordinary, isn't it? My mum used to volunteer in a RSPCA charity shop. I don't know if I'd wanted her and her colleagues delivering my healthcare.
Yes.
But that's what's going to be happening.
But they are, I mean, we have had volunteers obviously helping with the COVID vaccine rollout.
That's right, yeah.
Whatever. But yes, it is a sad state of affairs if we're dependent, Diane, on
exactly.
this.
Yeah, we don't want to be dependent. It's kind of weird because they spent 30, I believe it was, billion? Please don't tell me it's billion. Everything
It's
seems
just million.
to be
It's only a million.
billion.
It's only a million.
Oh, my goodness.
It's 30 million, mate. It's nothing.
I always get confused. Yeah. Oh, you could find that down the back of a sofa. So 30 million on St John's Ambulance to try and get them to plug the hole. And it doesn't feel like they're getting at the root cause of it. And it's exactly what Cressida was saying. Like, there are people who can volunteer. Like, you know, hey, if you haven't got anything to do, you've got a couple of days spare, go volunteer at the NHS. But it doesn't...
We pay taxes. Is
Yeah,
the point.
yeah.
We work.
Absolutely.
We pay taxes.
Yeah, we want to get a good healthcare system and we're paying into it. So why are we now asking people to do it for free when they're paying for it as well?
Yeah, I mean, look, St John's Ambulance is great, but this also seems like a slight step towards privatisation, bringing in outside services to do what really should be an internal thing here.
Definitely. And I mean, like... I see a lot of elderly people volunteering and I see a lot of elderly people in hospital and I'm just worried that they are going to genuinely get confused. Like, some elderly people are going to turn up and they're not going to know whether they're supposed to be helping people or they're there for something.
And it gets worse than that, Diane. One of the jobs you can do is driving an ambulance.
Oh, my God.
I mean, that's potentially very exciting, isn't it? You could sell that as an experience package to a stag do, but yeah, extraordinary.
It's look, it's looking like maybe the strike is going to be off. Maybe that's what the Observer's saying, and that would have said that would have affected about 100,000 outpatient appointments, 15,000 operations. We're obviously already hugely backlogged, so that would have an even worse impact and push everything forward. So, whilst that's a good thing, the fact is there's 133,000 vacancies still within the NHS. So this problem, strike or not, is not going away, essentially.
No. And those vacancies, we need people to be trained to be in those vacancies. And just trying to plug the hole with a bunch of people who mean to do well is not going to help the system long term.
Yeah, and that's exactly what's being said. Miriam Deacon, Director of Policy at NHS Providers, has said exactly that. She said, although volunteers have always played a key part in the NHS, beyond core services, there is simply no substitute for a properly staffed workforce.
Yeah.
So essentially what we're saying here at GB News is don't get sick. Now to Sunday's Daily Mail. And Diane, we've got a scam within a scam of, the scam COVID PPE. It's like a David Mamet film.
OK, so firm linked to Baroness Michelle Monet. Is it Monet? Money?
Money, I call it money.
Bought a £7.5 million private jet months after it allegedly made tens of millions from a public PPE contract. So just to sort of give you the timeline of events. Now, the press have said we can't directly link the money for the PPE contracts to the jet. But it was purchased by the company. And I'm
After they'd made millions and millions, hundreds of millions.
So in January, we agree, January 2020, there is a pandemic, everything goes bad. March 2020, we get locked down. May 2020, this magical company appears.
Hello. I've got lots of PPE.
I'm really good at making PPE. Are you? Because you've only just magically appeared.
A lot of it was actually rejected. It wasn't good enough.
Yeah. So after all that money that went into it.
65 million quid goes to the company, and then believe it or not, they suddenly, about a couple of months later, buy a £7.5 million private jet. Now, I can understand if you spend, I don't know, you want to buy a load of hygienic material, that's going to be a couple of million quid. You want to buy a couple of bits of string to tie it on, that's going to be a couple of million quid. Pair of scissors.
Is this your geezer accent, by the way?
No, I'm just...
This is your East End sort of bartering.
This is what I'm sorting out what we're going to do, right? So I'm just working it out. What I can't work out is why, if I make PPE, why am I buying a private jet?
Because you want to celebrate being a super millionaire.
Why do I need the jet?
Delivery, testing the masks
Very good.
Because it's not just the jet. You need to pay for the hangar. You need to pay for the pilot. You need to pay for the champagne. You know.
Yeah, but it was only 7.5 million. She had some left over.
Yeah.
Oh, good.
That's
exactly.
good accounting.
Krista, obviously, we got mutual friends with the same industry. I don't know if you've seen online a lot of people going, why aren't the media talking about Baroness Monet and all that stuff? So here we are. We're talking about it. It obviously seems like this is a disgusting bit of scamming going on. It hasn't been proven yet, but it ain't looking good, right?
Absolutely, yeah. We should be rioting in the streets.
Let's not go that far, but let's just say we covered it and let's see how it goes from here. Now, up next, we've got the Daily Mail, Diane. No. Sunday's Mail. Elon's got his shovel and he's digging up Twitter dirt. And no, it's Cresta, what's been on her?
It's me. New Twitter files dump revealed frenzied conversations before Trump was banned after the Capitol riot. How head of safety Yoel Roth made weekly with FBI and agency-flagged election-related content for moderation. So basically...
It's a very pithy headline.
It isn't it?
It's really... I don't think they've really worked out how to do a headline there at the Sunday Mail.
Smooth.
Never. They do, it's just the first paragraph in bold.
Yeah, come on, guys.
Lots of punctuation here. Basically, journalist Matt Taibbi has shared the claims. It looks like there's a very cosy relationship between top Twitter executives and the FBI.
And not only this, but also he's revealing how Twitter executives were violating their own policies in order to take down Trump and what he was saying. And it sort of suggests that the FBI is actually in charge of Twitter and therefore in charge of the mouthpiece, because they were talking about banning the actual, the president's account, but also the White House account.
Wow.
It's like, wait a minute, you're the FBI and you're going to put pressure on this company to silence the White House?
Well, we don't actually know what went on in these meetings as such. But is it just the fact that these meetings existed is not a great indicator of influence and politics within social media?
It's very bad.
Exactly. Roth is seen joking about a mysterious meeting on his calendar, saying it's definitely not a meeting with the FBI, I swear.
He's got a
That's his voice.
sense of humour.
That's his voice.
Now, this, I believe, is the third lot of emails that they've kind of released now.
Yeah.
The second one a few days ago was quite interesting, Diane, because it was all about shadow banning, which they said didn't exist. And then it turns out that actually they were sort of curtailing the accounts of people whose ideologies they didn't agree with, and even whole subjects.
Yeah, and this is the worst part, because when somebody says we're being shadow banned, you instantly kind of imagine that they've now got a bunker in their backyard, they've got a tinfoil hat, and it's all conspiracy. But we're actually discovering that people who previously would have been written off as conspiracy nuts are not. They're right. They have been banned. They have been secretly manipulated. Their accounts have been changed. And have their accounts been changed because of what Twitter thinks of them, or have their accounts been changed because of what the FBI and Homeland Security think of them?
Well, that's very interesting. I mean, I've actually found out what's been going on with my account And
finally, because
it turns out
explains
that
why
the
you
reason
have
I
so
don't
few
have
followers.
many followers has got nothing to do. I was really like, I've been shadow banned for my controversial. Basically, now I'm just a bit rubbish on Twitter. Let's finish this section with a Telegraph now. And Diane, where is this charity from?
It doesn't matter where this charity is from because now
No, where is it from?
No, where is it going?
Oh, yeah.
Where is it going? Because Sister Space, which is the charity that works with domestic violence victims, is having to halt its work because of the amount of backlash that they're getting over the whole Ngozi Fulani / Marlene Headley debacle that happened with Lady Hussey. That sounds like...
Wow, good on you getting all that out. That was an impressive sentence there.
Thank you very much. It has been sort of essentially a very uncomfortable soap opera to watch. And so it's really pulling the country apart because you've got a lot of people who are saying this is race baiting. She was purposefully being obstructive. There's a TikTok that's come out that shows that Marlene Headley is there saying, well, when I go to court, I dress in a certain way. I wear specific colours so that I look more African because I'm representing these women, even though I'm British. So you've kind of got that half, but then you've got the other half of people going, well, no, Lady Hussey should have just stopped, and you can't blame her age for her being racist. She's in a public relations role. So it's really like...
Well, it's really interesting, actually, because Cresta, she is saying, Ngozi Fulani is saying herself that criticism, defence of Lady Hussey is ageist. Is that right? How does that work out?
Yeah, that's exactly what she said. I guess what she means by that is that you're giving different people different... you're allowing poorer behaviour from one group than another. So I'd have to agree with her on that. I think
when that group are pretty old.
But
is that ageist? I mean,
but the issue is that now this charity that works with domestic violence victims, that's been affected, and that's pretty sad.
Well, that is sad.
Yeah, the whole situation is just sad.
I know
it was supposed to be a nice day out.
It's not totally clear to me why it's been affected, though. They're just saying she can't function.
Well, they're not even saying she can't function. That's the thing. I believe it's actually quite a small charity. So if she's involved in the more day-to-day, literally opening the doors and whatnot, I guess I can understand. And of course, abuse is not a good thing. But then some people go, I've been abused, and some people go, and instead, actually, they've been criticised. But I'm not actually to say that I believe she probably has been abused, and that it's just a shame that even that has to happen. Yeah. And then that feeds into the worldview of racism and whatnot anyway. So, but certainly when the charity is it sounds like, helping women who've suffered from domestic violence. It's terrible if they can't get help.
It is terrible if they can't get help, and it's for survivors of domestic abuse of African and Caribbean heritage. So, if not me, I'm not allowed to go. If I'm a survivor of domestic abuse, which I'm not, but jog on, Ginge.
I'm really sorry to hear that, Diane. Okay, I'll tell Kevin to treat you nicely tonight. And that brings us to the halfway point. After the break, we've got Greg's being they them, AI misogyny, and Shakespeare goeth woketh.
Monday to Thursday nights on GB News. At 6, it's Dubes & Co. 7 o'clock, Farage. At 8, join Mark Stein. And at 9, Dan Wootton Tonight, followed by Headliners. On TV, radio and online. This is GB News.
We are GB News, the People's Channel.
Why not take us home with you by visiting the GB News shop at gbnews.store. You'll find all the official merchandise, a really good present actually for yourself, your friends or your family.
We ship across the UK mainland at no extra cost. GB News, the People's Channel.
Here on GB News Live, we'll be keeping you in the picture, finding out what's happening across the country and finding out why it matters to you. We'll have the facts fast with our team of reporters and specialist correspondents. Wherever it's happening, we'll be there from 12 noon on TV, radio and online. GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Monday to Thursday on GB News, it's Bev Turner Today from 10 a.m. We're going to be here for you, our GB News family, to keep you up to date, but also make you smile.
There's a guy who went from puberty to adultery.
And I can't wait to bring a few of my own opinions.
I have no time for cultural totalitarianism.
We'll engage in passionate, but always polite debate, with your thoughts and opinions at the centre of it all. Only on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Hi there, it's Stephen and Anne.
At breakfast from 6 a.m, you'll always be caught up with everything you need to know, the latest headlines, opinions and debates.
We'll bring you the good news and the bad, but most of all, we're here for you.
Remember, send in your views and let us know what you would like us to talk about.
That's because we're your news channel. And every morning at 6 a.m, it's breakfast on GB News.
Welcome back to Headliners. We continue with Sunday's Telegraph, and Greggs joins the culture wars. I like their vegan sausage roll, but is this too far, Diane?
Whoop, whoop. So, Greggs introduces pronoun badges for staff. Yay! Well, I mean, do you know what? It's because they have this thing in Greggs, your ideas matter, and they ask the staff what their ideas are. Now, if I was a person who worked in Greggs, I would say, do you know what? We should put Nutella on the top of the donut. I'd come up with ideas like that.
Good. I was thinking product testing.
Game changer.
Yeah.
Game
like,
changer.
Imagine Honey Nut Cornflakes, Nutella on top of the donut, and then inside the donut, you've got like some weird caramel honey thing, right?
Well, you're benefiting society so much this evening.
Great.
It's incredible.
Yeah, so that's the kind of thing that I'd come out with, or, you know, but apparently the staff who work at Greggs said, can we please have our pronouns on our name badges? And fair enough, the company went, all right. And
what do you think of this, Chris?
Well, I will be going to Greggs far more often in light of this. Fantastic. Good to see them moving with the times.
Yes. Well, it's an interesting thing. I mean, the they-them thing doesn't work anyway, because if you've got your badges they-them and you don't address someone as they-them. So if you're saying, oh, could I please have that sausage?
You're talking to them directly.
Yeah, so otherwise you wouldn't say to a person, oh, would you ask them to get my sausage? Like, it doesn't work.
Exactly, I can't see it.
You can't be that close because the counter's in the way. So...
Well, for me, look, you know what the equivalence for me, like wearing a they-them badge? And it's not just they-them badges. They're also talking about these neo-pronouns like ze, zir, and ziz and all that stuff.
Yeah.
You know what? It's fine. It's like, for me, wearing, it's a religious symbol. I've got a Star of David I wear. People wear their crosses. It's an ideology. It's a belief system. Now, the problem becomes when you're essentially forcing compelled speech in a way that you're saying to other people in the company, because they're wearing their badges, you have to wear yours in solidarity. That, for me, is the issue. It seems like they're quite keen to stress that it's only for the people who want to wear it. But Marks and Spencer's have been actively encouraging, and, you know, whether the encouraging goes to, there's a thin line between promoting and blackmailing, I guess, or forcing people to wear. That, for me, is where the issue is, surely, right?
Absolutely, yeah. Greggs pointed out that their badges are entirely optional, but said they'd been well received internally. But if all your colleagues are doing it, you probably would feel that you'd be the odd one out, wouldn't you, if you didn't join in?
Yeah, well, anyway, drives me a little bit bonkers. That's Sunday's Telegraph now, and the church is being uncharacteristically judgy about people's sexual habits. The nerve, Cressida.
The nerve. The church is seen as unjust because of its treatment of LGBTQ people. The Bishop of Oxford...
You missed out the plus, Cressida. Ooh. There's a plus there for a reason.
GB Go again. All the people. The Bishop of Oxford, so he's the most senior figure in the Church of England, and he's now trying to support same-sex marriage, and he feels that he used to be in the dark and he didn't support it, and now he does. In his newly published booklet, Together in Love and Faith...
Pretty racy stuff, by the way. I've read it.
Has he got a book? Is it a book? Is it like a book that
It's a published booklet.
A booklet?
Booklet, yeah. Sounds like
Everybody's got a booklet in them.
Barbara Cartland title. Anyway, this has caused a storm both within and outside church circles. So but he thinks this is really important to move the church forward, and he thinks that as numbers are dropping, it's now less than 50% of people that say they're Christians in this country. He's worried about bums on seats, and I don't know...
What about bums?
I don't know whether this is enough to fill the churches.
I think it's a very strange thing to do because I get it, but there's the people who kind of are proudly Christian and Church of England want to stick by the religious text. And that religious text is very clear and it's very homophobic. It doesn't like same-sex relationships. Now, I was brought up as a Christian, but I'm sorry, I have a lot of gay friends, so I just left it behind. I was like, no, I'm good. I'm good.
So you think that this is partly what is the reason for the decline of Christianity, then? The outmodedness?
I do. But the thing is that because he's changing, he thinks that they should change it, like it's trying to appeal to people like me who have sort of gone into a different direction spiritually. But it's like, it's going to annoy the people who are hardline. Oh, yeah, totally. Can't you tell? But it's going to annoy the hardliners as well. He's kind of being a bit of a wedding DJ. He's trying to please everyone, and he's going to end up pleasing no one.
Yeah, although I do love a good wedding DJ. It has to be...
You have to be really drunk.
I mean, look, we've had this before, of course. The church, the Church of England was created to make a change from what was the previous norm of no divorce. So it's not like they haven't shifted according to the times or the needs or the wants of...
Yeah, they are changing, but the issue is that it's still not a great place to be, because when you go to the church, you often meet people who, I'm sorry, they're not friendly. They don't show Christian values. I've met a lot of people who say they're proudly Christian, and then when you've asked them to help you, they don't. And you're like, isn't that a Christian?
Stop talking about Nick Dixon. On to the Sun and Diane. To be or not to be, that is the microaggression. What a fantastic link, eh?
That's very nice.
I didn't write it.
It's the Sun, and the head title... The head title? What? Snowflake theatre-goers given woke warning to expect violence and death in Shakespeare's play Hamlet.
Spoiler alert!
I mean, I would add, duh. I think, again, they're using the word woke wrongly. I think here I would use the word pathetic or misinformed, because if you are going to watch Hamlet, you've got a good idea of what it's roughly about. Like, everybody knows the plot. Nobody's discovering it.
Penguins?
Oh, my word. Are you all right?
Is it not... I don't know, maybe I must have zoned out.
He didn't do a lot of work on penguins, did he?
Oh, OK. I thought
Might be some in the Tempest.
Sure? Oh, yeah.
So they've basically put this warning saying that the play, it deals with, themes of mental illness.
Mental penguins.
And suicide and things like this. And it does. In Hamlet, it's a very dark play, but that's one of the great things about it. I mean, on one hand, it kind of makes sense because we have warnings, like cinema warnings, 18,
I guess
15, like that makes sense. But I guess it's just funny to me because I got taken to see all sorts of horrendous plays when I was at school, and no warnings on any of them.
No, I mean, what do you think, Cresta? Is this...
I don't want Shakespeare to get cancelled. I don't think that would be a good thing for humanity. I mean, you wouldn't take a 5-year-old to see Hamlet, would you?
Well, they wouldn't enjoy it unless they had an ice cream.
Would they really understand what was going on?
Yeah.
Probably not.
But I think they've got 30 warnings about the content for this play.
What, for Hamlet?
For Hamlet, this is what they've got.
It's very specific, isn't it?
Cambridge University, the ADC Theatre, has put 30 warnings.
30? I can't even... I know that everybody dies. Ophelia commits suicide. Hamlet hallucinates his dead dad.
Yeah, but there's sexual assault, incest, discrimination.
And this is why you'd think just no children.
Yeah, you think that's... but then, of course, the argument would go nowadays, this whole, I don't necessarily follow along with it, but the whole snowflake idea that delayed childhood, and you have these young people who are going to Hamlet and go, oh, my God, I didn't know that he dies. Or spoiler, does he die? I can't remember that one. Anyway, next up, we go to the Daily Star, and AI painting celebs nude. Despicable. Where can I find this, Cresta, and how much do I have to pay?
Well, I'm glad you asked. You can pay £6.52 and upload 10 to 20 selfies, and you'll get 50 photos from this AI robot app, which has been accused of misogyny after painting female icons in history, such as Amelia Earhart naked, but not doing the same for male celebs.
Do you know what this reminds me of? It reminds me of when that Captain Marvel film came out, and Brie Larson is there, and she's like very stern looking. She's looking because she's Captain Marvel, and a load of people, like mainly men, went, "Oh, she should be smiling. She looks so grumpy." And then somebody did the beautiful thing, they brought out like Iron Man, the Hulk, Captain America, and they were all like smiling and posing like women, and it really showed the difference. And this is simply because the people who have built this, I guess their hobbies include sort of that horrible manga porn and things like that, where women are fetishized, sexualized, and unfortunately, like, can't they just release a bug fix? Like a patch or an update and fix the app?
That's very interesting question, because, Cressa, what I was going to argue was that they build these algorithms by showing it examples. So it's not necessarily that the AI itself is sexist. It's that because that world, and certainly fantasy fiction and that fantasy art, it is all sort of misogynistic in the sense of all the elves who are women are all in these like little bodices and whatnot, and then all the blokes are in armour. So if it's taking its feed from that, then it's going to create those kind of images. Sure.
Right. Well, when I saw this, I've seen some of this on Facebook in general among my friends, and I thought, wow, this is going to make catfishing a lot easier, isn't it? Because they all look stunning. And some of my male friends as well I've seen using this and looking a lot more hench than they would otherwise. All got very chiselled faces. I don't know. I assumed that it was like this because of narcissism and people wanting to look very, very glamorous. Although...
Like filters?
Yeah, well, that's what I thought it was. Right. One of the criticisms being raised is that this might get used to sort of create, like, revenge porn that people don't know they're in.
Deep fake pornography.
But as I say, the people I've seen who I know in real life who've appeared, it looks nothing like them, so I'm not sure how much
I'd like to give
problem.
a warning to our viewers that if you see any pornography featuring me, it's actually real, OK? A tiny break now, but in the last section we have sexy raisins, sexy drunk mums and sexy bald men. And some stories. See you in a moment.
Every morning from 6 o'clock, we'll wake you up with GB News Breakfast with all the stories you didn't know from the night before.
So whether it's serious news, entertainment, or your own views from all over our great nation, we're here to kick off your day with a smile.
The national media should be reflecting and reporting what's happening here.
You will notice the northwestern accents. Whether you're with us on TV, radio, or online, every morning it's breakfast from 6 a.m. Hope you can join us.
We are GB News, right across the nation. You can get us on television, on radio, on digital. We're absolutely everywhere.
Amazing. You see, amazing.
You remind me of me in the European Parliament. But here's the most important bit. We are not part of the mainstream establishment. We think and speak just like you do. We are the People's Channel.
Magnificent. That's really, really thoughtful.
Come and join us on GB News, the People's News Channel.
My name's Tom Harwood, and join me 9:30 a.m. every weekday for The Briefing, your one-stop shop for everything you need to know about what's going on in politics today.
I wonder if this is a deal that might need to be like the biscuits in this factory, twice baked.
Is there not an opportunity here to win out against the extremes?
Tom Harwood, GB News.
What are you going to do about it?
Things should have been done differently, and they certainly are being done differently.
Don't miss it. The Briefing with me, Tom Harwood, 9:30 Monday to Friday on GB News.
Join me, Nana Akue, Saturday and Sunday afternoons on GB News. Expect fiery debate and passionate discussion as me and my panel tackle some of the biggest topics hitting the headlines. It's a place for everyone's opinion. No one gets cancelled, but no one gets an easy ride.
Oh, she's on it today!
Be ready for conversations that are fierce, frank, and of course, fun. Every Saturday and Sunday afternoon from 4 p.m. on GB News, the People's Channel.
Welcome back to Headliners. Let's jump back into it with the Mail on Sunday. They say bald is beautiful. Wouldn't you agree, Cresta? Wouldn't you?
I absolutely would, Josh. However, some people would rather not be, and experts reveal everything you need to know from the hormone that causes hair loss to over-the-counter pills that can help. Obviously, wouldn't be of any interest to you.
No.
The primary cause of hair loss is a person's genes. I don't know if you're aware of that. There's a myth.
Well, no, it's if you wear them too tight, you cut off blood to your head.
It's not my dad's fault.
Your doctor.
No, it's your Levi's.
My big baldy dad.
So there's been a review of over-the-counter pills such as zinc, pumpkin seed oil and probiotics that can help thicken, retain or regrow hair in up to...
Let me write this down.
So,
zinc.
You want zinc.
Pumpkin oil.
Omega oil supplements.
Okay, yep.
Apple cider vinegar. You know who drinks a lot of apple cider vinegar?
Mark Dolan.
Mark Dolan. And look at his hair.
Got good hair,
Yeah,
good
yeah,
hair.
yeah.
Very well.
Okie dokie.
And you want to have like head massages and stuff like that. That'll apparently bring it all back.
Well, there is a serious story here because it's quite traumatic going bald. And they're actually saying this in this article that they're saying now that men who are going... I know it sounds like we live in a sort of... we're all wimps and stuff, but it was quite I made my peace with it, but I'm not going to lie, it was quite... I mean, I guess for me, what relaxed me was there was a point where I had so many children with my wife, there was no way she could leave me.
Right.
That's what's...
No, she can still leave you.
No, she can't.
As tragic as that is,
Can't do it.
Josh...
Addicted to the tax credits.
The true victims here are the hair transplant industry, because potentially this could put a $5 billion dent in their income.
If everybody realises you can grow your own...
Apparently, yeah. Did you know that a hair... if you have a hair transplant, it can cost $10,000.
Yeah.
Would you pay that, Josh?
I wouldn't, but Leo Kurz, he has been to Turkey. He's got a hair transplant. Good for him. I think I've actually got two. I don't think it would work with me because it's so much is lost. It takes it from the back, and now I've lost too much. I was thinking about getting a wig actually.
Can you take
Go for it? Give it a go.
No, I don't really want to.
Doesn't work like that.
But then I wonder if actually I'd be. Well, some people here say that being bald is hot. Is that right? They say as long as you have a handsome, cheeky face with character and good physique.
Well, you haven't got any of that, mate. What are you going to do?
In my ear, they're saying, move on, move on. That's just, yeah? Yeah?
No.
All right, fine. Next in Sunday's Metro, wine memes promote alcoholism. Let's ask Diane. You love a good wine?
What? It's the story in the Metro, and the headline is, I didn't realise I was an alcoholic because of Mummy's wine o'clock meme. So this woman is essentially saying that she started a group called the Sober Mama Group.
Fun group.
To help other women quit drinking because she realised that she was just drinking all the time and she was desperate to have a glass of wine. And as soon as she had got her kids, she was like, right, okay, now a glass of wine, Mummy, wine o'clock. And she realised it when she had a lot of cards from her friends, and they were all, like, all the birthday cards were joking about how much she was going to drink for her birthday. Yeah. And she thought, I actually probably have a problem here. And she believes that the Mummy wine o'clock thing is sinister now. She looks at it through different eyes because of her experience, and she believes it normalises alcoholism.
What do you think, Cresta?
Well, I think she's a bit of a legend. She was drinking a bottle of white wine a night in summer and a bottle of red in winter. I mean, that is...
It's class.
It's quite a lot, isn't it? I don't know.
Not really. That's actually not a lot. Like,
isn't it?
Not really. Not a night.
You're slurring your words there, Diane.
I know people who
I think
get
the
through
one bottle.
more than one bottle a night, and like one bottle, I think is actually not so bad
per person.
Wow,
yeah,
you have
I'm
revealed
stunned.
so much about yourself, Diane. That's scary. What I like about this story is that they're actually. I think she gave me a really good idea here about having an intervention, but it's, you know, like how that could be quite awkward. But instead, just send cards.
Through the medium of birthday cards.
So like.
You smell.
Yeah,
Happy
you
birthday.
Brilliant.
Get a hair transplant, whatever.
Fantastic.
It is. I think it's a really good idea. Anyway, in Sunday's Telegraph now, can dried fruit help you get sexy? Let's ask Cresta, although you haven't had a date in years.
Hey. Well, actually, it can.
These links get worse as the programme goes on. I just want to warn you, it's your first day, and
I don't want to say. I'm going to send him a card.
Diane, it's because you're drunk. That's all that's happening.
Yeah, this is extraordinary. A clinical psychologist, Dr. Laurie Brotto, author of the Best Sex Through Mindfulness workbook.
Great book, great book.
Fantastic. A Guide to Cultivating Desire. She's shown that if you concentrate on a raisin, you can get better at sex.
Now, is that because raisins look a bit like testicles?
She doesn't explicitly say that, although there's a quote here, I surprised myself by how much attention I could bring to this one little object. So, I don't know. But basically, these women they sit down for 10 minutes and they observe a raisin. They smell it, feel it, listen to it.
Please, Cresta, stop.
They put it to their lips, inside their mouth, and they take one tiny bite. And after this, they're asked 3 questions. What did you notice? How is this different to how you normally eat a raisin? And how is this eating practice relevant to your sexual concerns? Well,
I am going to be stopping off at Tesco Metro on the way home, getting myself some raisins.
5 a day.
What do you think of this? What do you make of this, Diane?
Well, it's nice that the author wants to sell a book. And what I think is interesting is that she has not counted into effect British sarcasm, because she talks about how you should lie next to your partner and just trace a finger down your partner in all seriousness. And you should, like, touch them, smell them. And it's like, really? Because we're going to start making sarcastic comments to each other in the first, 30 seconds.
I didn't get married
to
sort of touch somebody and be...
Wipe your finger across their face. This is not going to work for British people because we've got a sense of humour. We're just going to laugh too much.
OK, fine. Right, let's do the last story. And in the Sunday Times, what a nightmare when someone you've got a tattoo of turns out to disappoint you, which reminds me that I need to get my Philip Schofield tattoo removed.
I didn't realise you were homophobic. OK, so...
Oh, that's got nothing to do. It's because of the queue. You're the one who went to homophobia. But I'm talking about the queue.
Oh, I thought it was because you hated him because...
No, the queuing.
You never said that, though.
What's homophobia got to do with it anyway?
Because he's gay.
Really? Are you serious?
Breaking news. OK, so the Times have gone
I'm keeping the tattoo.
Kanye West. Former fans have tattoos removed. So Ye has been yeeted, and now he's been yeeted off people's skin as well. There is a charity called... I'm not sure if it's a charity. Nama Studios, based in London, they are offering a treatment so that people can have it removed. It's called the Second Chance Initiative. You can have a pro bono treatment to remove gang tattoos and hate symbols if you want to rebuild your life. And now Kanye West's face is a hate symbol.
Absolutely. Well, this is great. And there are other people, they also saying that you can get removed. I think this is a great idea. Although, interestingly, one of the people who's getting it removed is Jewish, and you shouldn't get a tattoo if you're Jewish. Anyway, that's all we have time for. Thank you to my brilliant panel, Diane Spencer and Cresta Wetton. Welcome. I hope you enjoyed it for your first time. Headliners tomorrow is going to be back at 11 with Leo Kurtz in the hot seat, Kerry Marks and Paul Cox. Good night and God bless.
I'm Mark Dolan. Join me at 11 on GB News for Headliners, in which I'll be joined by 2 of the UK's top comedians discussing tomorrow's papers. If it's an important story, we'll cover it, but we'll have some fun along the way. Headliners, the late-night paper review that won't send you to sleep like the others will. 7 nights a week at 11 p.m. on GB News.
Hello, I'm Michelle Dewberry, and you can join me every weekday 6 till 7 on Jubes and Kerr. Me and my panel will get stuck right into the day's events, and I can tell you, in fact, I can warn you, expect some robust debates, some strong opinions and perspectives from both sides of the fence. It's about you at home as well. I love to read out all of your comments, or at least as many as I can. So join me, Michelle Dewberry, Monday to Friday, 6 till 7 on Jubes and Kerr.
I'm Mark White. As GB News Home and Security Editor, I cover those key issues that are so important to you. Our authorities, our communities doing all they can to combat violent crime. With the public services under unbearable strain, why are we still failing to control our borders? Defence, the first priority of any government, has been continually hollowed out. Can we trust our politicians to protect the armed forces? Join me, Mark White, on GB News.
We are GB News, the People's Channel.
And right across the United Kingdom.
You can find us on Sky Channel 512,
Virgin Media Channel 604,
Freesat Channel 216,
Freeview Channel 236,
and YouView Channel 236.
You can also take us with you on DAB Plus Radio,
with the GB News app and at the website gbnews.uk.
We're absolutely everywhere.
Come join us on GB News, the People's Channel, Britain's news channel.
Join my show Farage, 7 p.m. till 8 p.m. Monday through Thursday, and there you will get opinion, analysis, debate, and I'll cover stories that nobody else dares to touch.
You've been cancelled. Join the club.
Oh my goodness me. And then for the last 15 minutes, talking pints. We're over a drink. We have a civilised conversation with someone. We very often disagree, but we do it in a grown-up way. Come and join me on Farage.
Monday to Thursday on GB News, it's Bev Turner Today from 10 a.m. There's never been a more interesting but also critical time in British politics, and I can't wait to bring you the biggest stories of the day with the best factual accuracy and also a few of my own opinions thrown in. We'll engage in passionate but always polite debate with your thoughts and opinions at the centre of it all. Monday to Thursday, 10 till 12 on TV, on radio and online.
Good evening and welcome along to another episode of Neil Oliver Live on GB News TV and on radio. Tonight on the programme we'll discuss the row over traffic control plans by Oxfordshire County Council, which have been likened to a lockdown by critics. New Zealand has been gripped by a case in which parents lost custody of their child after refusing to accept blood donations from unvaccinated donors. It's a tough time of year for households financially. We'll ask what can be done to alleviate the problems a lot of families are obviously facing. Plus, plenty of chat with my panellists Emma Sale, Tom Buick and Liam Halligan. All of that and more coming up. But first, an update on the latest news from Tatiana Sanchez.
Neil, thank you. This is the latest from the GB newsroom. At least 3 people have been killed in an explosion on the island of Jersey. The blast happened at a block of flats in the early hours of the morning in St Helier. It's feared the number of casualties could still climb, with around a dozen people thought to be missing. Chief Fire Officer Paul Brown says the search and rescue operation could take days.
It is a total collapse. And so the primary challenge is that, one, it is dangerous to operate in and around the area, but secondly, anything that we do or don't do in the wrong way might then jeopardise